Hello, I'm Scotti, the rocker engineer. In this episode, I will show and explain how much money I saved since I completed my household electrification, getting rid of the last fossil fuel usage as well. But first, how did all this started? At the beginning, back in 2022, I saw this report called Energy Transition Outlook UK 2022, a national forecast to 2050. This is a very deep document, but what caught my eyes from a personal perspective is this. It says, in the longer terms, household energy costs will decline significantly and more than half by mid-century, driven by increased electrification of both households' heating and passenger transport. Electricity is more efficient, which leads to an overall reduction in energy demand. We see 2/3 of the cost reduction being associated with the energy costs for vehicles and 1/3 linked to home energy bills. The additional factor that contributes to the reduction is energy expenditure is progressively lower electricity prices as low-cost renewable dominate electricity production. Mind you, this prediction was created based on data before Putin kicked the boozer's door open in Ukraine and before Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng shook the economy. Reading this report, I said myself, well, mid-2030s is still more than a decade away, so let's try to bring it forward for me. Let's electrify my household. So, first I had my solar power system installed with home batteries. You can follow my preliminary project evaluation and the results after 2.5 years in the second period of this channel, and I also explain in there how I could achieve such a short repayment period. I also got myself an electric car which, even without considering my solar power generation, proved to be cheaper than if I had bought a second-hand diesel back then, including every cost. You can see it in episode number 3. For the first 2 years, I used the TV only for family trips, mainly shorter than battery range, but since July last year, I used for every trips, including sometimes crazy long job-related ones as well. Many of those trips are reported in the channel, and in episode number 15, I showed how much I saved from July to December last year through 11,000 miles. Finally, I had my heat pump installed in middle of October last year. In the previous episode, I showed my saving on heating during the first 4 months with my heat pump, since it is in operation. This was the last piece of my home electrification. Now, I will show my overall energy cost savings, including car fuel, home electricity, and heating, compared to the amount I would have paid if I was still on fossil fuels and without any solar panels and home batteries. In this Excel chart, including everything, but don't get scared, I will break down it for you. Let's start with what I imported and paid for from the beginning of November 2025. Again, it includes car fuel, heating, and home electricity total energy cost. It is important to emphasize because normally people understand well their electricity and gas cost as it built once in the month, right? But much less aware of the amount they spend on a monthly basis on petrol or diesel. It is because those don't come in a single monthly figure, unless of course you collect and record each and every car fueling receipts. So since the beginning of November till the end of February, I imported just below 8,000 kWh electricity. My solar system generated almost 500 kWh, which mainly I consumed, and I paid just below £450 for public car charging. So my total energy cost through these 4 months adds up to £1723.40. Wow, that is a lot of money, but let's see what I've got for it. I completed more than 9,000 miles, which theoretically, based on HMRC advisory fuel rate, would have costed me almost 1240 pounds at least with a diesel. By the way, in reality, the P per mile cost is around 10-15% higher than the advisory rate. I heated my house. My heat pump generated more than 11,000 kilowatt-hour heat. Based on my old boiler efficiency I showed you in the previous episode and the tariff I had, that would have cost me more than 1,000 pounds if I stayed with my old boiler. My house electricity consumption was 1949 kilowatt-hour, which would have cost me 530 pounds and 54 pence if I were on the tariff cap and didn't generate anything. Adding together all the would have costs or theoretical figures, my total energy cost during this period would have been nearly 2,900 pounds. So if I didn't electrify my household. So during this period, I saved close to 1,200 pounds or 40%. Now the lion's share of this saving comes from or related to the car, partially due to the ridiculously low mileage cost, despite more than the third of my consumption was covered by public charging, but also because of the very cheap overnight EV tariff reduced both the heating and the home electricity cost as well. Also, charging up my home battery with that lower rate, I also could reduce my daily usage tariff. I have to mention here that obviously, many of those mileage I did was company mileage, which actually was paid for, so I didn't effectively pay that much money out of my pocket, but just for proper comparison, I'm showing this. While my solar system also generated some power, this typically isn't the highest generating period of the year. Between now till end of September, however, I think the dominance will be taken over by the solar system related savings and making money by export. I can't wait to see those figures. You see, if I could make it, you can as well. As long as you own the house, you live and you have a driveway. Of course, it's not applicable to everybody. But I think, looking around in my area at least, 90% of those who have every preconditions still didn't go for it. Remember, once the new energy price cap will expire by the end of June this year, we might will experience a similar energy shock we all lived through in 22-23. Use these 3 months to kick off your electrification projects. Many banks are offering green mortgage with 0% interest rate up to 5 years. Start to generate your electricity, minimize your import unit price with an EV, and walk away from gas heating with a heat pump. Don't hesitate to ask any question in the comment section. Next time I will be back on the road for another long trip with my EV and you'll have my report. I hope you will join me. Until then, have a great time.